Hi, I'm Jen Drummond. Welcome to Seek Your Summit. As a mom, a business owner, and the first female to climb the 7-second summits, I realize that the mountains we climb are a part of our success. And it is up to us to go beyond that success into a life of significance. All right. So today I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and I have the privilege of interviewing Tina Fears. And it's very rare that I'm an awestruck kind of person, but Tina's one of those people that awestruck me. She is a creative. She has a company called Stage Ready. She runs a fearless movement. I mean, come on, Tina Fears, fearless movement. How perfect is that? And she's available to continue our conversation today. So Tina, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
Oh, I'm so excited. I think it's amazing. So we were talking before the interview. You grew up in LA and you relocated to Atlanta around the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. What was your childhood like at that time here?
It was late 90s, okay. Kind of going into that middle school weird phase. I'm saying that because I have a middle schooler, so it's definitely an interesting phase. But just kind of being in Atlanta and experiencing it as it was becoming what we know it to be today.
Yeah.
Lots of music, dancing, cheer, all of that, and just acclimating to the culture because Atlanta is its own vibe for sure. It's definitely not LA.
Yeah, no, it is its own vibe. I'm noticing it just being here this short period of time. I'm like, all right, this is Atlanta.
This is different.
Yes, yes. So were you always into the creative, the acting, the dancing, the singing, like all that piece?
Yeah, I come from a creative family. Okay. So of course, most people who are in LA or in the West Coast are kind of pursuing the arts. My parents moved there in the late 70s. They moved to Los Angeles from Ohio. And so I came up around music, recording studios, live performances. My dad was an amazing songwriter. I was told that I met Michael Jackson and there's like some picture of him holding me when I was a baby. So yeah, always around the arts, always aspiring to shine, find those moments where Tina can shine bright. So it's always been in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you shine, you own, you glow. I love it. When you walked in here, I was like, that girl knows her business.
Too kind.
Okay, so when you got into things first, right? Like you were a cheer coach for a little bit, I think we talked about. What was your path forward? Like, how did it all get to where it is today?
I'll be, full transparency. That's just how I come to the table as an interviewee. I kind of ran away from my gifts. Okay. Seeing entertainment industry, seeing the good and the bad, it can freak you out. It's like, man, do I want to struggle? Do I want to deal with the rejection all the time? Hoping for a yes. And so I really opted once we moved from LA to Atlanta. I kind of was like, I just want to go to school. Like, I just want to be a teacher. Not that that's easy, but that felt like it would offer more comfort and stability to me. But I'm a very faith-forward person. And so I know when things are placed in you in a divine way, you kind of can't run from them.
Right. They keep leaking out.
They keep leaking out.
Yeah. They knock on your door.
I don't want to sing anymore, but like I'm singing at graduation. I don't want to dance anymore, but I'm like competing as a cheerleader and performing and have that desire to do more than what's, available to me. So I found myself, as I was transitioning from Clark, Atlanta, kind of running out of money and like, man, I want to stay in school, but I don't have the resources to do that. I had to tap back into what I could do naturally. And so I found myself taking all of my talents and putting them together and creating this business, Stage Ready, which has been a blessing, full service creative direction, artist development, project management firm. And it allowed me to pursue the arts again, something that I had kind of taken my hands off of as a small child in pursuing acting and musical theater and commercials, and we're kind of in the midst of all of that now. So it came about by accident, but I'm really glad that it did.
Yeah. And so where did you meet your husband in the mix?
Yeah, so my husband and I actually went to the same high school.
Okay.
So he's a couple years older than me. So as I was coming into high school at Lithonia, go Bulldogs, my husband was finding himself transitioning from Tennessee Tech to Clayton State. He played Division I basketball. So we were kind of both in this transitional time and met each other as I was a senior. He was coming back from college and kind of met at a Bible study. That's how we met each other. So we went to the same school, but he was way older than me. And I'm like, I don't know, you're a senior, I'm a freshman.
Yeah.
But it was divine because I got the name Fears and it just kind of all works, right?
That's amazing.
Okay, so he stayed in the teaching world.
Yeah.
Do you think that stability allowed you to play with this creative space a little bit more?
Absolutely. I don't cut people off when they're talking, but I have to give him his props because as an artist, it is a gamble every single day. Betting on yourself. It's a pick-me game. You know, no matter how much talent you have, it's so much that's depending upon what the casting director wants. What is the look they want? They want an African-American lady, but is her hair curly? Is her hair straight? Is she tall? Is she short? Is she bubbly? You know, what these different things are. And so you can find yourself sitting in the waiting game. And so I am so blessed to have a husband that has made great choices. He holds our family down. We are definitely a team. In addition to me running my own business, we went through a huge strike for actors, and we're still many people recovering from the pandemic.
Yes.
So you're talking about a 4-year window where we had a pandemic and we had an actor and writer strike.
Right.
Thank God for entrepreneurship.
Right.
Because that has been able to sustain me, where producing for people and producing live events has allowed me to, you know, continue to make this thing happen.
Right. I mean, I can just imagine even just thinking of COVID, right? Where everybody had live events. All of a sudden we're like, and we're doing nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Everything's over Wi-Fi, including teaching.
Everything. I was in the middle of shooting a series, Genius Aretha, which is available on Hulu now. And we were like shooting, and then the pandemic happened, and it was like, you're not going to work for several months. We're going to hold you guys, and we're going to come back, and everybody's in mask, and we're getting tested every 2 days. So we're thankful to be past that for sure. But, you know, like I said, having my husband helping me and supporting me, he's like the silent partner. You know, it's a blessing.
No, they do. It gives us that freedom to be able to explore more when we have that solid base to grow from.
Yeah.
And then you have one son.
Yes.
Okay.
Micah.
And he's into music and everything too, you're saying.
Yeah, Micah is a phenomenal little musician. My great-grandfather, my grandmother's father, was a wonderful jazz musician. He played the tenor saxophone.
Okay.
Ironically, my son plays the tenor saxophone, the alto, the euphonium, the flute, the clarinet. My dad also played the bass. He was more of a vocalist. I pick up that skill set from him. But my grandmother just celebrated her 80th birthday, and she was saying how interesting it is that that gift, you know, is now coming to fruition through my son. So I love being a boy mom, though.
Oh,
super
I
cool.
have 5 boys and then twin girls. And I
High five.
love being a boy mom. Like, love being a boy mom.
Super cool.
Yes, and a girl mom, twinners, and a girl mom, but yes. Okay, so it's interesting that you say when you were developing your voice, did you, as somebody that has natural talent, are you taking lessons?
Always training.
Really?
Always training in whatever way I can find it. That may mean YouTube, that may mean taking a workshop, a random dance class, an acting class. Debbie Allen, I bring her up all the time. She is the queen in my mind when it comes to the arts and being a triple threat. It's always about class. It's always about training, because you have to be getting better. You know, the industry is changing. Once upon a time, I came into acting when self-taping was like starting to emerge.
Okay.
A lot of people used to go in and physically audition, but you had to learn a whole new skill set. How do you audition on tape?
Right, without any feedback.
Without any feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And then there's the curse a little bit of the taping, because you can do it over till you think it's perfect. Whereas when you get on set, it's like, hey, picture up. Let's go. So you kind of have to find the balance and train how to tape and be able to project, you know, in that setting. So always taking class.
Wow, I love that. Good. Okay, so in my book, which we kind of run this podcast through that lineup, we talk about casting your vision wider and deeper. And when I took on the 7-second summit quest, it started with climbing a mountain. And my son upped it to climbing Everest, and then my coach upped it to this world record. But it was because I was in that pursuit that the opportunities opened up. What type of things have opened up for you in your pursuits?
Yeah, tons of things. I mean, things I couldn't even imagine. You know, my kind of tagline is the $100 in a dream, right? Starting this business with solely $100 in a dream to change the entertainment industry in Atlanta through my gifts and talents. So casting that net larger and wider and bigger is going from kind of a one-woman show to, some people use the 10X model, where I can take what I do, teach that to other people, encourage them and empower them, and now they can go forth and do it. And so that's going from Tina runs Stage Ready to now there's a team of people who represent Stage Ready. And not only do they represent Stage Ready, but they take what they learned with us and they put it into their own LLCs and their own endeavors and their own businesses. I'm such a legacy-focused person at this place in my life. I want the work that I do to be impactful, but I also want people to feel like they leave Tina, at whatever phase they're leaving me, with something that they can use.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to just gig with someone. You want to feel like I learned a new skill. Yeah. I am more encouraged and empowered. I'm more confident, you know? So that is what that bigger, deeper thing is. It's not just about me. We're now trying to make sure we can establish a solid legacy.
No, I love that. I talk about that a lot, about moving from success to significance, right? We can help somebody have success, but we have significance when we give them a tool or a methodology that they can implement in their own lives. That's and then let that exponentially grow.
Yeah.
Have you always had that mindset?
I think so. I think, you know, with age comes wisdom, but I think back, and my sister reminds me to do this a lot because she's been with me from the beginning. We're 2 years apart. She's my best friend. And even when Tina was like driving around in her little Honda Civic up and down I-20 East and writing little $25 checks to people just wanting to honor them for their time, I can now say it was always about paying it forward, this vision of a team, community, and giving people some type of tool, something they could take away from the experience. So I'll have to answer that with yes.
Good. I like it. Now with like, I've hired people and trained them, and then you lose them, right? Which at the end of the day, we're building leaders. And so it's part of the gig, but it's hard. Yeah. Right. Because it's like, now I got to restart and get somebody else up to speed and do that kind of stuff. How do you keep that momentum going?
I think it just goes back to that legacy idea. I think when you recognize different skill sets and attributes in different people, there's some people who will just kind of be with you through the end. And there's some people who you can easily identify, okay, she is very much a visionary. She has her own ideas. She's here to get what she needs to get from this experience. And when you recognize that, I think that's a good leadership characteristic. You have to recognize when people have these different skill sets and not be intimidated by that. Right? Okay, she's going to be someone who's going to go out and she's going to grow. So let me encourage her, let me uplift her, give her the skill set. And then once she goes out, how can I support what she's doing? You know, maybe she provides some type of textile so I can subcontract her to help me on a project. So, you know, that it's hard sometimes to see people leave the nest, but that's what it's about. You want to constantly be funneling in new people.
And how are you meeting new people?
Social media, events, you know, when you've been doing it a while, people start reaching out. Yeah. You know, we have a really big open door policy. So I want to be the type of CEO or founder that is someone people can reach out to, you know, and there's so many people. I have kids that used to work with the Usher's New Look Foundation. I was like in my early 20s, $100 in a dream, little Honda. And they were kids at the time. And many of them went on to college. They graduated. We've all kind of grown up together. And they're like, hey, I'm back in Atlanta. I have a marketing degree. Like, if you need any help, that's what I'm talking about. Because I met you as a dancer at Usher's camp, and you've now gone on to Howard University, and you have a degree in the arts, and you're like, I'm ready to come back and be a part of the team and contribute in a different way. So those are the type of funnels we're talking about. You know, I have some girls that danced with us 2 years ago with a project with Meg the Stallions Foundation, and they're now going to be graduating high school. So these are people, that's that cycle again, right? Meet them where they are, plant seeds, let them grow, and then they'll come back and then they'll contribute to the new season.
I love this. So good. When you went like $100 and a dream, like you were 100% all in.
I had to be.
Yeah.
Survival mode. Right? Because a lot of times, you know, you go to college and it's like you have this support system. For a lot of people, they have a support system. They can just focus on school. Their parents are like putting money in their account, or they're working part-time jobs. And so a lot of that support that I needed, I just didn't have it. But I knew I was called to greater. I wasn't going to be a bum. I wasn't going to be, you know, the fabulousness or whatever it was, whatever was sizzling inside. Even though I had lack in my life, it didn't diminish. It was still there. I just had to be savvy enough to figure out, how do you make this thing come to life, even though you don't have necessarily the support and the finances and the resources. It was there. I had to make it happen. I had to pull it off.
I think we get resourceful when we have limitations, right? It's not a stop. It's not a setback. It's not an obstacle. It's like, okay, this gets to be part of my story. How do I weave it into the fabric of success?
Yeah. And you work harder. Yeah. You know, when the stakes are higher, you work harder. You go harder for yourself. You bet on yourself. You know, it's like, I have to make this thing happen. And one thing I did learn while at Clark Atlanta University is one of our school models is find a way or make one. You know, so I might not have my degree from CAU, but definitely the mindset of Find a way or make a way. Okay, you need to get these people. You need to hire these 10 singers. If you don't have them, you need to go to churches. You need to call glee clubs. You need to turn over rocks, whatever you need to do to make sure that you can deliver at the end of the day. And so that's a part of the fabric of who I am.
And then because of that, like you get somebody, you keep them in your like orbit or whatever. So
Rolodex, mental Rolodex.
Yeah. And so like, hey, we might need this for this or whatever. So it is an industry that gets you branched out pretty wide fast.
Yeah. And you have to have multiple skills just to survive. Like we have people who, yes, we're on camera talent, but we also know how to PA and we also know how to stage manage and we can direct. You have to be really a multi-hyphenate at this place, or a hybrid, as one of my good friends calls it, to thrive, because if one thing shuts down, you've got to be able to shift gears and, go into fuel flex mode and, do something else.
No, I do. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Have you had a time where you've had like an imperfect start, but you stuck with it and things worked out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, stage ready, acting, all of it is an imperfect start, because sometimes for people who find themselves like at a deficit, right? I can kind of consider myself at a deficit in entrepreneurship because I bootstrapped the business. I only had $100. I'm like eating ramen and all these things versus someone who had investors or crowdfund. So let's just use the business as an example. That's an imperfect start.
Right.
No marketing budget, no money to pay yourself, nothing. So it's an imperfect start. But when you're passionate about what you're doing, you just see the thing through. If you can see just a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, then it gives you the encouragement to keep going. And then I have realized later in life, let people know what you need. Sometimes we kind of like, we have our little ideas and we hold them close and we're fearful. But once I started to let people know what I needed and what I was trying to do, then you start finding community and like-minded individuals who can help you with marketing just because they believe in what you're doing.
Right.
They can come and style you on set because, hey, girl, I got some extra clothes. Let's make it happen. So I think we got to open up and tell people what we want. And then you'll find the support that you need.
Yeah, no, I talk about this a lot, where it's fun to wave our flag at the top of the mountain. It's like, hey, I made it. I'm at the top. This is where I'm at. But it's so important for us to wave our flag in the pursuit and when we have to turn around because the weather didn't cooperate or something outside of our ability to control is making us turn around. And when we wave our flag, wherever we are in that pursuit, lets the world know, here's where I'm at.
Yep.
Here's what I need. Here's how I can help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like the more people that know that, it's not something to be embarrassed of. It's just like, this is where I'm at my path.
Yeah.
And that brings your people together.
And you know what's so great about that? There's a vulnerability.
Yes.
I think we went through a season where everyone wanted to just be so polished and so put together that they've arrived, they wave their flag at the top. And then it becomes a little disingenuous. It's like, man, it can't because I'm at home struggling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in my pajamas and drinking a cup of coffee. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to figure this out? So I think when we are more forthcoming with our experiences and failure, then you become more relatable. We can create more of a community for support. All the things you said. This is where I'm at in my journey. I'm waving my flag.
Yep.
This happened. It didn't work. But I'm going to try again.
Yeah.
I think people can connect with that.
Yeah. No, and I think people like to be a part of that story where you have that, okay, I'm going to keep going. We got this. We're good. When you look back, who were key people that helped you become where you are today?
So many. I have a couple people that are kind of mentors.
Yeah.
And mentors, not necessarily in being like so much older than me, but maybe they were in like leadership positions while I was trying to pursue and figure out who Tina was at that time. Definitely some college professors, some high school teachers. I have an art teacher, Sheila Bussey, and she was my fine arts teacher. And she just always allowed me to just be creative and be free in my artistry. High school was not necessarily a challenge academically for me, but just kind of that surrounding phase that led me to college and running out of money. People like that who saw something in me. My dad he used to call me Miss Black America. He always thought I was some beauty queen since I was a little girl. But just the encouragement to just be unapologetically Tina, and I kind of had to arrive at that place
Well, in the process of it, right? Because you're still kind of figuring that out.
Yeah.
So you make wrong turns and you do things, you're like, oh, that's not who I want to be. I got to rewrite.
Yeah, definitely my dad, my grandmother, my parents, you know, good or bad, they've always encouraged us with whatever they had. I think that's something, you're a parent. There's no book on parenting.
Right.
There's no right or wrong. You just give what you have in that moment. And so now as a mom to a middle schooler, like, I get it now. I tell my sister all the time, like, yeah, they were doing the best they could do.
Yeah.
You know, when you could be a crappy teenager and really be hard on your parents, but when you become a parent, you have a whole new perspective.
Where you're like, oh, okay, now I get this.
Yeah, so definitely parents, family, educators, some industry mentors. Once we really got into entrepreneurship, I have some producer friends who really taught me the ropes about excellence and how to treat people. That's the big thing.
People, right?
That's what you don't get in school.
Right.
That's life experience. That's on the ground, in the trenches, learning how to be a good leader and people feeling comfortable coming to you with, hey, this is not right. Like, I don't feel comfortable here. And not just being so focused on the end goal, you know, and being warm in there. So there are a lot of people who have contributed to who I'm still becoming. You know, we're not there yet, but I'm proud of where I am.
Yeah. When someone comes to you in the fearless movement, when they're trying to get going, what are the people that you look to, like, do you help them set up support? What are you suggesting that they do to begin?
A lot of times with the Fearless Movement, that's more so servicing young women and girls that are kind of in transition, maybe having a hard time in life, so on and so forth. When it comes to business, anytime people come to Stage Ready for support, I always do kind of an inventory. Okay, you want to be in the industry, but to do what? You just want to be famous?
Yes.
You want to put stuff together? So we always do these kind of 30-minute kind of exploratory calls, I guess. Because I think I can't really give you direction if you don't know what goal you're working towards.
Right.
I have a young lady who said, I want to get into production. I'm interested in all of this. And it's like, well, girl, you got to come work on some productions. Right. It's easy to say you want it from the outside. Got to get in the mud, lace your boots up, and let's see what you really want to do. So I start there, want to see what you're interested in. And then I find things that may be helpful in discovering that, because you could say you want it and you get in there, it's like, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
I just want to be pretty. I want to be on camera.
Yeah. Let me smile, get my makeup done.
Exactly. So that's kind of how we start and go from there.
Okay. I talk a lot about the messy middle, about how we have this great vision and then we take step offshore. So we can't see shore anymore. We can't see the summit. And we're in this middle ground that gets a little wobbly and sometimes it's hard to stay motivated. What do you do in that space for yourself?
Like I said, I'm very faith forward. And so I am so much time in prayer, a lot of inward reflective stuff, reflective work or self-work, a lot of people call it that. And then just kind of reassessing, what is the goal at the end of the day? Is it to be rich? Is it to, have a storefront? Is it to have X amount of shows produced? Just kind of reassessing that. And then grace, we talked about that earlier. I'm still learning in just day-to-day life, like how to give myself grace. So that messy middle can look a lot of different ways. But for me, it is just really doing that inventory on self, reassessing what I'm working towards, and then trusting and believing if you could do it with $100 and your little Honda Civic down I-20,
You're good.
It gets better.
I think that's so important that we have these stories that we can pull up on speed dial that remind us of who we are.
Yeah.
Right? And just being very intentional of, okay, this is my story. It's a power story. And I need to keep connecting back to that because that's where my power lies to continue whatever journey I'm on.
Yeah, you can get lost in it.
Yeah.
Because if you hit a season of success or hit a season of multiple wins, you can the head can blow up and you can say, I, and you forget about the professors and the teachers and the parents and all the people who poured into you to kind of help shape you into the person you are now. So humility is key. I've learned that. I say stay low with my hands lifted, right?
Nice.
Excited and thankful, but remembering how I got there, and that it can be gone like that. The pandemic humbled a lot of us.
Oh, I can only imagine. And then the writer's strike and everything else afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's a different gig.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you set goals for yourself with the company?
Yeah.
And do they change different years based on different things that are going on?
Yeah, that's a great one. Stage Ready started out really like doing choreography. Like I was the one woman show, right? So like I'm dancing, like I'm at the auditions, I'm doing all the things. And then I started to explore, what does this creativity look like when it's packaged for corporate clients?
Right.
Well, I found I could make a lot more money.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough.
You get your organizational game up and your resume up, and then you can take this same idea of, like, let's say choreographing or producing for a tour, and now you're producing trade shows, and now you're producing conferences and various events. And so, yeah, you're always trying to figure out what those goals look like and how can you achieve them, but then trying to do it better each time. You know, you don't want to be here every single time. It's like, no, we want to get better. We want to add a new service. We want, pay more. You want to be able to pay people more, know, and make sure that this experience is profitable and that the company is growing.
Mm-hmm. What is a favorite type of like project that you get put on? Do you have a wheelhouse that you're like, oh, I love these?
Beauty and health and wellness was our gig for a minute. I was really blessed to produce for a beauty brand for a very long time and learned a lot in that space, because that was like a training ground for me. I went on kind of like a freelancer and then ended up kind of producing the whole event for about a 10-year span.
Oh, wow.
And so that was kind of our space, health and wellness, for a while. Music is always going to be my first love because I come from that type of background. But I'm finding myself, when I can serve young women, bring young dancers on, that's kind of like, that's the passion project, because I see myself in those girls, know? So as far as what Stage Ready does well, it's always going to be, entertainment, creativity, just creativity. I'm not going to do, pharmaceutical conferences. That's not really my gag. But when we can be creative and be culture forward, that's very important to me. Moving the Black experience in a space of excellence, sharing that we are not a monolith, or we're diverse as Black people. We are diverse in our experiences and what we have to offer. That is the heartbeat of what Stage Ready is about, for sure.
What would you tell a younger you, like looking at where you are today, if you could give advice?
It gets better.
It gets better. Amen.
It gets better. It gets better with age. It gets better with more money. No, no, but seriously, it gets better, and to trust yourself, trust your gut. I think if I was a lot more vocal about what I wanted, that fearlessness, but I discovered it in the right timing. I kind of had to go through some stuff, and then
we all have to go through stuff to earn our stripes.
Yeah, you got to earn it, But I would tell baby Tina, keep dreaming big, and it gets better.
Yeah. Have you ever taken on a project or started down a path and you said, okay, you never mind, this isn't for me, I need to pivot?
Oh yeah, I mean, the pivot is how you stay alive. I think for me, pivoting is going from, choreography and tours only to pivoting and, exploring corporate clients. I think pivoting is important in how we staff, the people that we work with. I'll give you an example. There was a client that I had, very, very lucrative client, but the business mindset and approach to things just did not align with who I was.
Okay.
And I had to make a tough decision. Do you keep cashing this big check, or do you stand in the cold a little bit, and get your bearings under you and trust and believe that the experience you have will show up in other places? And I had to do that.
God,
it's a
hard.
Messy middle. Yeah, it's all the things.
It's all the things. You're
it's
like,
cold outside. Yeah, it's cold, but you have to do it because you don't want to. You want to be able to sleep at night and have peace. Yeah. Again, grace, giving yourself grace,
No, I do. And I think you start noticing in yourself, like, okay, am I showing up as my healthy self? And if you realize, there's little windows that you might not be healthy because you're pushed into the max to make it happen. But when it starts becoming your norm, it's time to reevaluate and be like, okay, who am I? Is this lining up with me? And I know I have something to offer. And so I'm going to go with that.
And it's so funny because you come from such a fitness and, health conscious background. And I, in the midst of success, was not my healthiest self. Right. My body was shutting down, like literally breaking down. Like I'd be after events and going to the hospital getting like an IV. Oh. Because it was just the mental wasn't matching what my body was doing and saying. My body was like, no, get out of here, stop, you're tired. And I'm like, I gotta keep going. So yeah, lots of pivots and changes and being okay with, I gotta take care of myself first. People talk about self-care and mental and all of that. You got to do it.
You have to.
You'll make some more money somewhere else.
No, I know. I mean, I even took, after my last climb, which was June 1st of 2023, I'm like committed to taking a year off.
Wow, good for you.
And it has been the hardest thing ever, because you just like, there's something about doing that feels good. And there's something about being that I just haven't learned how to sit with as well. And so it's been just this challenge of like, no, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm being, it's okay to be.
That's so funny you say that, because my sister tells me all the time, she's like, you don't like to not be busy.
No, we get addicted.
She's like, if you're not busy, you go and go craft, you go do all this other fine stuff to do. And so I'm just trying to like be okay with being, be okay with the peace. And ironically, I think I was telling you, this is like an extremely busy season for us. And there was a little bit of a lull right before it happened. And now I can say, okay, Lord, I see why I was sitting down, because you knew I was going to be going crazy for like 90 days straight. Yeah. So, you know.
And does it get cyclical like that, where you can have a push and then it'll calm and then a push?
And I think that's a goal for us. That's a goal for me as an entrepreneur, is like trying not to have the push and pulls, the lulls, trying to find that constant.
Yep.
Luckily, I can do the other things too and go do commercials and voiceovers and stuff, but I'm still trying to find how do you make that like a 365 thing, And then I don't know, it might be overwhelming. Right. If I was just constantly, in that space. So you need
another one of you to make it work.
Exactly.
Be like, you take these projects, I take those projects.
Right.
Which is a whole nother level of letting go.
You got to trust, because aren't we all just,
you're like, no, but
don't want to let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I talk sometimes about like when the goal is not the goal. So it's interesting. Like I took on this world record pursuit, which was the goal, but truly it just gave me the direction. And when I showed up and did the work, so much more magic unfolded. But I needed that goal to bring me down that path to allow the other things to open. Have you seen that in your own life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think more relationally, like relationship wise, like you kind of think like, hey, let's work together and produce this project. And you find out that you have like a lifelong friend, right? Okay. You have someone who is aligned with you, or opening up doors. I think I told you about my former professional cheer era, in my 20s. And through that experience, I have someone who is a co-producer of mine, who I voice for all of his events. He comes and co-produces with me. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely. Those relationships and those things are possible.
Wow. And where do you see the company going, like in the next 10 years with obviously a little more maybe consistency year round, but is there certain types of events that you'd like to do more of, or something that's like a reach that you haven't?
Yeah, I think, we've been in such a hybrid space. We've done well as a hybrid. We kind of pop into facilities as we need to. And I share these things because I want entrepreneurship to be tangible and real for people. I don't want people to just see the final product. I want them to see what the journey looks like. So we've always been kind of in a hybrid space. We don't have a storefront, come to the stage ready office. We pop up as we need. Our team is all over. But I really feel like that's come. I think there's an anchor. I think there's a brick and mortar.
Really?
I do. Okay. Because, with us being so arts focused, we would always have to like go out and rent dance studio space and go out and kind of do all these things. But I see as we're growing, we may be finally at our like brick and mortar season.
Okay.
Where people will come and get trained on both sides, like as on camera talent and as producers and talent wranglers and PAs. They can come and train with us. So I think that might be, something.
So when you're helping somebody produce, how is that getting out to the market then? Like there's a sales rep in the middle of there, or what's happening?
A lot of it is myself, and believe it or not, so much of the work that we've received has just been through word of mouth.
Really?
We work with this company, Stage Ready. They did an amazing job. I think you should work with them. We have a couple clients out of New York that were just through referrals.
And do they come here to do events, or do you go to events there?
They come here. So like, let's say there's a producer in New York that's producing an event in Atlanta. They're in New York, but they need 50 people in Atlanta. Well, you can contact Stage Ready. Let us know what you're looking for. We've bid on the project. A lot of times I field produce or co-produce on it, which helps me be a part of the creative. Sometimes they want us to just staff it. Like, hey, we need 20 of this, 5 of that, 10 of these, whatever. And we're able to support them. But yes, in the early days, we put mailers in people's mailboxes. We would email, e-blast, and still do. After doing it for a while, you kind of have a network where people kind of know what you do.
Yeah.
But there are new firms popping up, new companies coming up all the time. So we're always in the space of reintroducing ourselves, and just having a solid resume helps. It helps to validate that you're legit. You know?
Yeah. You've got the track record to prove.
Yeah.
Proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating.
You got to be able to back it up.
Yeah.
Can't be a fraud out here.
Well, and just even your personality of like, hey, I'm always learning something, or I'm taking on something new, so that I'm staying creative and up to date on all the trends and all those different pieces. That's huge for your brand and what you guys are producing out there, because that creative space has to stay steps ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay. So how do you help your staff and the people that you work with stay motivated when you're running things?
I think being a relatable leader has always been something that's worked really well for me. If there's a question or there's an issue or a concern, you know, I never want to be like the person that's like, I'm scared to ask her, can I talk to her? Like, I deal with people because I've been in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I think when you provide that relatability, there's a respect that people have where it's like, oh, we're not going to girlfriend up. But I do feel honest, you know, coming to Tina with my ask and so forth. And then there are some people who, you know, I consider them OGs. We've kind of come up together, but we do understand and respect that professional barrier. The other thing I've learned is empowering people.
Okay.
You know, like if I'm hiring someone to do a job that maybe a client is accustomed to me doing, there's such, I think, respect that comes from I trust them to do the job and to do it well. You know, I popped up on one of my veteran like field producers at a shoot that was off the Beltline last week. And I was shooting something up this way and just kind of came down just to say, hey. And my sister was like, yeah, and you came and left. And I'm like, that's right. I'm not coming to take over to be the boss. She's the boss. She's in charge. I trust her to make it happen. It was a beautiful experience. So I think that helps with the relatability and relationship and just empowering people and saying like, yeah, I believe in you. You wouldn't be here if I didn't. So shine and do what you do and do it well.
Have you ever done that and it gone backfired on you?
Yeah.
And but the point is like that's one case. So as everyone that backfires, there's plenty that are success stories.
And that's the gamble. You know, that's with anybody hiring. You can hire people to come and paint your house and they could do a great job, and they can also ruin it, and you know, have to get somebody to come and repaint it again. So I would be lying if I didn't say, yeah, there have been some people who will never get hired again. And that's okay. But, you know, you have to kind of cover yourself. And if we fail, I have to own up as the boss and apologize to my client. And sometimes I got to put on my boots and step in if people drop the ball, because I care that much about the client relationship and about my reputation and doing a good job.
Yeah. No, I think that's the hardest part of being a CEO or an owner or having your name on it. You're like, okay, I want this certain thing. I want to empower you. How do I do that? And especially once you get burned once, having that resilience to be able to come back and be like, nope, that was just one case. I can keep going and keep doing this.
Yeah. And we have that, you know, again, that leadership struggle, that power struggle.
Yeah.
I don't want to trust people, but, you know, I've learned you cannot do it all.
Right.
But if I train you and you've got, you know, if I trained you the stage ready way, right? Kind of like when you work at Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
My pleasure, right? Train you the stage ready way, then I trust you've been trained right. I've worked alongside you. You've worked under me. I'm confident that you can do the job.
And how long does that typically take for somebody to get those skills?
I mean, some people will come in and, you know, after 2 to 3 projects, especially if they're working directly beside me, 2 to 3 projects, you're ready to go. Some people, you do 1 project and I'll keep you in that same place because you haven't shown me that you have the desire, the potential to move on. So
yeah, just seeing all the pieces, right? Like there's so much to pick up on and put together.
But I love someone who's hungry. I love people who are, hey, do you have anything else for me? Do you need me to do anything else? And to me, that's like, okay, she can handle more.
Yeah.
She wants more. He can work a little closer. And we work with a lot of celebrity clients too. So that's always, are you going to fan out or are you going to do your job? If you fan out, you probably can't work on this project.
Right. That happens.
Can't be trying to get an autograph, selfie, you know, all of that. Instapost, right.
Here we go.
Yeah, so, you know, you don't want to get on the no hire list, and it happens. But I'm really proud of this generation. You know, I guess segue off topic a little bit. This generation, I feel like my generation was a little more like, we get a job, you stay at the job, you do the job, you do it well. My mom's generation was you just stay and you retire. We were a little ambitious, but these people now they'll work at BET for 6 months, they'll go take a contract, they'll be at Google, you know, then they'll leave Google and they'll go hop somewhere else. And there's no love lost. They're constantly just trying to move forward.
Yeah.
And I think that ingenuity, that aggressiveness is what's necessary to be relevant these days. So bravo.
Bravo is right. Keep it coming.
Keep it coming.
Do you have a platform that you find is best for you to use? Is it Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn?
Yeah. I am an Instagrammer.
You're a
I
grammer.
am definitely an Instagram girl, but I love TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok is kind of like my guilty pleasure a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where I put like my food recipes and funny videos and stuff that makes me cry. I'm like 8 o'clock in the morning sobbing because I opened up a TikTok. But business-wise, I think Instagram has kind of been a solid place. I wish I would have gotten into YouTube a little bit more. Do you YouTube a lot?
I like playing with it.
Okay.
Right? It's such a, I mean, every channel is such its own understanding.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh.
To build an audience and all of that.
Yeah.
I still haven't quite cracked the rhythm of anything. Like I've had a couple videos that have done well, like to just go crazy, and have one random Krispy Kreme peach cobbler.
Okay.
Definitely not healthy, but it like got almost like 100,000 views. And so for someone like myself, I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
you're popping. But I haven't figured any of it out. But Instagram is kind of my safe constant.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Actually, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm trying to get speeches and
Okay.
talk to companies and
Okay.
be out on stage. And so that's where you kind of find that crowd that hires the speakers. We'll see if I mean, I love Instagram just because I like pictures, and a lot of the stuff I do is very photogenic.
Yeah.
So it
I
works.
heard LinkedIn is popping though, because one of my cousins, she used to, without TMI, she used to work for like the Charlotte, like whatever the football team is franchise. She's gonna kill me, but she was approached on LinkedIn for another position. I didn't realize how great of a tool LinkedIn is. I mean, I'm on there, but to be recruited through there, go in and interview, and she's very heavily in sports management and all that. She's currently chief of staff in Houston, but she was able to land some solid stuff off of LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a newer platform I've been playing with in the last year. And it's like, okay, I'm going to do a little dent here, I hope.
Yeah.
So fun. Well, how do people find you, to work with you, and to utilize your amazing services?
Yeah, Tina Fears on all platforms. So
Yes.
that's Instagram, that's Facebook. I don't Facebook as much, but if you type it into the Google, all the things come up. But it's just Tina Fears on everything. I try to be on everything, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, how lucky are we that we got to meet Tina today? I'm so grateful. So much wisdom dropped in this episode on all different things of building and expanding a vision and believing in yourself and having the confidence
matter what.
to do you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you.